What's up, y'all? It's Rhonda Lynn, and you are listening to the Social Therapy Podcast. I hope everybody has been healthy, wealthy, safe, and sucker free. This week, we are talking about boundaries. And I'm not talking about boundaries in the typical way that you would typically think that I would typically be talking about them. No, we're talking about setting boundaries for yourself. In order for other folks to respect your boundaries, you have got to set boundaries on yourself. You have got to respect your own boundaries, and you have got to follow through with your own boundaries in order to be able to set other boundaries for other folks effectively. And that is what we're talking about today. But you already know, before we go any further, I got to give a shout out to our sponsor because they pay the bills around here. So make sure you check out motivatedcoffee.com. They got the best coffee on the internet. It's rich, it's smooth, it's easy on your stomach, and they got free shipping at motivatedcoffee.com. Also, if you have Amazon Prime, make sure you check them out on Amazon and get that Prime delivery to your doorstep within like 2 or 3 days, or however long Amazon say it's going to take for them to get it to you. Once again, check them out, Motivated Coffee. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the sauce. This week, like I said, we're talking about boundaries. We're talking about setting boundaries for ourselves in order to be able to effectively set and execute boundaries for the other people and situations in our lives. And what I mean by that is saying this. Before you can effectively set a boundary that you want somebody else to set, you have got to evaluate that boundary, why you're setting it, what it means to you, and why it needs to be enforced. And I'm saying enforced with a purpose, because a lot of people just don't have no respect for you anyway. Whether it be because they're your co-workers, your boss, your mama, your cousin, your auntie, your sister, your man, your woman, your wife, your husband, whoever, even your kids. They just ain't got the respect for you on that level. So in order for you to be able to get that respect that you need on a level where people are respecting your boundaries without you having to forcibly enforce them upon them, you have got to figure out, why is it that you even have to set these boundaries in such a way in the first place? And the first way that we're going to talk about setting these boundaries for ourselves is digging deep into who we are, so we know what boundaries to set and why we need to set them. Now, as y'all already know, if this is not your first time listening to this podcast, and if it is, hey, how you doing? But if you listen to me before, you already know that I recently started going to therapy. And contrary to what some people I know may believe, it's not because I'm struggling with mental health. It's because I'm struggling with life. It's because I'm struggling with life in such a way as of being a better person, as being a better mother, as being a better me, for me. I don't want to disappoint me. I don't want to make decisions where I am not putting myself first. I need assistance with being selfish, because it is okay to be selfish. Now, a lot of y'all may not believe in astrological signs and, all that or whatever, but let me tell you something about being a Cancer. I'm a Cancer, first of all, okay? Cancers are very nurturing people. And we always taking care of somebody. We always taking somebody up under our wing. We always trying to help somebody be a better version of themselves at the expense of ourselves. And what ends up happening is you have not reached your full potential because you are so busy helping somebody else reach theirs. And along the way of doing so, you fail to set boundaries for yourself and for other folks. And now you are sitting here looking like a lump on a log, looking crazy because you may or may not be at where you want to be at in your life because you spent so much time making sure that everybody else was straight that you didn't take the time that was needed to make sure that you were straight. And the only way that you can do that is by setting boundaries for yourself and then following through with them. Because in order for you to get other folks to respect you, you have to respect yourself. How can you expect other people to respect you if you're not respecting you? How can you expect other people to trust you if you're not trusting you? How can you expect other people to respect your boundaries when you don't even respect your boundaries? You want to know the biggest sign that you don't respect your own boundaries? It's when you set a boundary for someone else and you allow someone else to violate your boundaries, to overstep your boundaries. Flag on the play. Hold up. You allow somebody else to overstep your boundaries. So let's say this, okay? Let's say you are starting to date and you tell yourself, okay, I'm a woman, female, however you identify on the female spectrum, right? Because that's the only viewpoint I know of that I can speak from. That's all I've ever been. And you say, starting today, I'm going to start dating today. And moving forward, any man that I talk to romantically, I will not accept phone calls after 7 o'clock. And then you start talking to this guy and he calls you after 7 o'clock. Now you got a choice to make. Either you're going to answer the phone or you're not. This is a boundary you set for yourself. And maybe you set this boundary for yourself because you got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to work. Or maybe you got kids at home, you got to put them to bed. Or maybe you just don't want to be bothered. Okay? So this man calls you after 7. Now, maybe you didn't tell him that you had a boundary, a 7 o'clock boundary, but this is how you enforce it, right? You don't answer. You set a boundary for yourself. You say, I'm not taking phone calls after 7 o'clock. This man calls you after 7 o'clock. You don't answer the phone. You don't take the call. The next day he calls you. He's like, hey, I called you last night. Oh yeah. I don't take calls after 7. I should have told you. Now the boundary has been established. And he's going to respect it or not. He's going to deal with you or not. Or you have the decision to answer the phone after 7 and then tell him, hey, just want to let you know, I don't accept phone calls after 7, but you just accepted a phone call after 7 o'clock. So guess what? You don't respect your boundaries. Why should he? So guess what happens? Tomorrow he calls you at 8:30. Or maybe he waits. Maybe he respects the boundary for a couple of days. And then 3 days later, he calls you at 7:05. He's testing you to see how much respect do you have for yourself. This is why you have to set boundaries for yourself. You have to respect your own boundaries before you can expect anybody else to respect them, because people are constantly testing you to see how far they can go with you. And if you allow people to continue to overstep your boundaries and you continue to be slack and lackadaisical with your own boundaries, you will never get what you want out of life. Because why should you? In order to achieve anything in life, it requires interaction with other people. It does not matter what it is. If you are selling something, somebody has to buy it. If you are learning something, somebody has to teach it. Somebody has to sell it. Just like right now, I'm sitting at home, at my desk, recording this podcast episode, and I need you to listen to it, to download it, to share it, to like it. That's interaction with other people. I require for other people to listen to my podcast in order for me to be a successful podcaster. And Setting boundaries for yourself requires discipline and consistency, which is an area that I am getting better at, which is why we started this episode in the first place. So, my episodes typically, they're Mondays. It was going to be Sundays, now it's Mondays. Because I said Sundays, but it was always Monday anyway. So now I post the episodes on Monday. And you can expect to see these episodes on Monday because that's the standard that I'm setting for myself. And for you to expect for me to stick with. And that's what we're doing here. And that's what I need you to do for yourself in your life. If you say I'm not taking phone calls after 7, don't answer it. It's a choice. Everything that we do is a choice. Everything that we are about is a choice that we make. You either make a choice to accept it or deny it. To do it or don't do it. To get up in the morning or stay in the bed. Everything. When somebody disrespects you, you either have the choice to spaz out on them or keep quiet. To fight or run. Everything that you do is a choice. And I'm asking that we make the choice to set boundaries on ourselves in order to effectively execute those boundaries in our everyday life. Because once you start letting people slide on your boundaries, they will never respect you or your boundaries again. You know, when I was younger, a senior in high school, I had an elder. I'm not going to say who she was because if you know me, you know her, and I'm not doing that. We ain't doing that today. But you know, it was an elder. You know, we respect our elders here. And, oh gosh, you know, me as a young girl, watching her just go above and above and above times 3 and beyond for her man. And she was doing stuff that was clearly uncomfortable for her to do. Like, she just didn't feel like doing that shit. But she was doing it every day. Every day. I should watch her every day. She did it. So finally, I just couldn't take it no more. I'm like, dang, she be doing the most. Is this what it takes to have a husband? Damn. I asked, I said, why do you do that? Why do you do this, this, and this? Why do you do A, B, C, D? She told me flat out, don't start nothing you can't finish. Once you start doing something, they expect you to do it forever. And that goes for boundaries. Once you start letting people slide on your boundaries, they're going to continue to slide. They're going to continue to push the envelope. They're going to continue to see, okay, is this one that she really is serious about, or is this like the last one? Or she said, last time she said don't call her after 7, but she was still taking my phone calls after 7 o'clock. Now today, she talking about she can't talk on her lunch break, but I'm going to call her before her lunch break. Right? She said that when I pull up at her house, when I come over, not to park in the driveway, to park on the street, but I'm going to park in the driveway because she don't be meaning that stuff. Everything she say, she don't enforce. She don't ever say nothing. It don't bother her. So why should I? There's no repercussions. She's still going to deal with me. Set your boundaries, yo. And setting boundaries within yourself is demanding respect. It demands that you respect yourself in order for other people to respect you. Even your family. And they've known you your whole life. And I just want to say, like, it's not okay for your family to not respect you, to not respect your boundaries, to not treat you like you are the strong, capable, intelligent person that you are. It's, you know, it's like, I'm a black woman. So I'm saying this from the perspective of this black woman. I don't speak for everybody. But in the black community, you know, our mothers are held to a different standard. Like, you might not, like, and when you in these streets, you might don't nobody to try you. You are not the one, right? But your mama She try you every day, disrespect you every day. She talk to you like you a child every day. She be coming at you reckless every day. You can't cuss your mama out. You can't hang up in your mama's face. You can't tell your mama like it is, supposedly, because that's a violation of the code of being a child. And I really feel like, regardless of if it's your mama or not, you still deserve to be respected as an adult. And there's a way to communicate everything that you want to say. Like, just because it's your mama don't mean that she can just disrespect you or come at you sideways just because she's your mama. You can tell her, I don't like this. I don't like when you talk to me this way. I don't like when you say that. I don't like when you do that. Just because it's your mom or your sister or your grandmother or whoever the elders are in your family, doesn't give them a pass to treat you like you are less than an adult, less than a person. And I say that as a mother myself. So I'm a mom. My son is a young man. He's a young adult. And when I address him, I use my little pet names or whatever. That's my boo, right? But when I address him, I talk to him at his level. I talk to him like he's a young man. And as he matures and becomes older, I will address him at the level that he's at. If he's a young man, I'm not going to talk to him like he's 12, like he's 5. I'm not going to use a tone with him of disrespect, like I don't feel like he's capable of understanding what I'm talking about or what I'm saying. Because he's fully capable of comprehension. And I don't have to degrade him or yell at him or call him names or speak to him in such a way that makes him feel like makes him feel like his mother doesn't respect him or see him as a man just because I'm his mom. That's setting him up for failure. That's setting him up to question himself of who is he. I raised him to be better than that. So why wouldn't I treat him better than that? Right? And like I said, I don't speak for everybody, but this is how I treat my child, right? And he's always going to be my baby. He's always going to be my child. But even though in my heart of hearts that's my baby, I treat him at the level that he's at. I treat him like a young man because that's what he is. And I feel like as we get older, that we deserve the same treatment. I feel like if you're 40, your mama should be talking to you like you're 40. She should be treating you like you're a 40-year-old person. You shouldn't. A lot of people, when they get around their family, it's like they revert back into a version of themselves that they are not when they're in the streets. If you're the youngest, if you're the baby in the family, then you get around your family and you revert back to this version of yourself where you can't do anything for yourself and everybody needs to help you and you need assistance. But when you're in the streets, you're fully capable. I was talking to a coworker several months ago. She was expressing to me that this is something that she experiences. She's a teacher. And she was telling me that when she's in these streets, when she's at her job, she's a very respected person in her field. She's a mentor, right? She is one of the best teachers in what she does. And she's specialized. She's a specialized teacher at that. But when she get around her family, they don't treat her like that. They treat her like she's the baby. They talk to her like she's not as, like she's not as smart as they are or as intellectual or like she's still a kid. Like this woman is 40 years old and they literally treat her like she's still a teenager. and they don't value her opinion. They overtalk her, this, that. And she gets to the point where she don't even like being around them. But she still be around them though. Because that's her family, right? But it's like, even though when we're kids, we can't set boundaries because we don't know what they are because no one ever taught us. Unless you got a family that teaches you boundaries, that's great. But a lot of us aren't even getting into this space of setting boundaries until we become an adult and we realize that it affects us. Like, think about it. When you have certain conversations with people, if it makes you feel a certain way, if it activates your fight or flight, that's a boundary that needs to be set. Because you don't want to feel that way every time you come in contact with them. And then you got to evaluate within yourself, like, what is making me feel like this? What about this conversation set me off? And then once you identify what it was about the conversation that set you off, then you have to tell yourself, okay, self, we don't like to feel like this. And self, we're not going to allow anybody to put us in this headspace again. So moving forward, I, myself, this is what we're going to do. And whenever this comes up, this is what we're going to do. And then when it comes up, you do it. And you don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to tell people, oh, I'm setting a boundary. People know boundaries when they see them. It might take them a few times of you doing it for them to realize, oh, she's serious. Yes, I'm serious. What you thought? Take me serious. Starting today. Because honestly, it's like chess, right? If you think about it, life is not checkers, it's chess. And the board is your world, and the different pieces on the board are the people in your life. And the pawns, they be getting knocked off the rip. Soon as the opposition makes a move, they come straight for the pawn. Boop, gone. Okay? Then they start getting strategic and they start knocking out other pieces on the board. Your rook, like they just start knocking pieces off. But the most two powerful pieces on the board is the king and the queen. Now the king, he got power just off the fact that he the king. Because the nigga really can't do nothing. Like, he really can't do nothing. The king only can move one spot in either direction at a time. And he can't go diagonal. He's very limited. But if you lose the king, you lose the game. You're the king. But then there's the queen. The queen is the most powerful piece on the board. She can do anything she wants to. She can move how she want to move. And she's constantly protecting the king, keeping him safe to keep the game moving. Because if you lose the king, the game is over. You die. Right? He's captured. If you lose the queen, the king is right after her. The whole point of the game is to capture the king and take him out. If you can capture the queen, you definitely taking out the king. The other pieces on the board, they try their best. But can't nobody move like the queen do. You have got to be the king and the queen interchangeably, because I'm going to tell you right now, regardless of how many people you think you got in your circle that might be loyal to you, you can't trust nobody but yourself fully. Because your story is the only story that you know the background to, why you do what you do, what happened at this point in your life that made you do the way that you do to be the way that you be. You don't know those small little intricacies about other people. The things that could cause them to snap one day and everybody listening up there looking like, well, what happened? He was so cool. I never thought that she would betray me. I thought we was good. I asked her. She said we were straight. Now I can't believe I'm in this mess. Put none past nobody. But when you are your queen and you are your king and you are making the moves necessary to protect yourself, to keep yourself on the board, to conquer the other side, the opposition, the things that come along in your life that can be setbacks or that can be cause for division. If you are the queen protecting your king you the king, you the queen, playing both roles, you can't fail. You can't fail. And the only way that the king and the queen make it is by having all these other pieces on the board protecting the boundary around the king. They protect the queen too. That's what the boundaries are. When you set up your board, you got the pawns all in the front row. That's the boundary. Do not cross this line. So what do? People start taking your pawns off, invading your space, overstepping your boundaries, getting all up in your stuff. Because the pawns ain't that strong. You got to have stronger pieces, stronger aspects to your personality. Your gifts that God gifted you with, your strengths, those are the other pieces on the board that make you stronger, that make you be able to make it throughout life, from one side of the board to the other, and to fight off the opposition on the other side of the board that's coming to invade your territory. I don't even know if that really made sense. Like I said, this episode is off the top of the dome, but it sounded good to me, so we're going to keep rolling with it. But basically, I just want to say, like, setting boundaries for yourself is necessary before you can successfully set boundaries for other people, for yourself. Because when they see how you move, and they see how you operate, and they see that you're serious, and that you don't play, you're not the one to be played with, and you ain't got to be ghetto and talking all ratchet and moving your hands and your neck everywhere for people to understand that you are not playing. For people to understand that respect me or move around. It's all about how you communicate and how you effectively make it known just off the way you move. Because your words and your actions got to line up. Because I know I'll tell you in a minute, don't sit here and talk all this good stuff to me and your actions don't line up. I'm not going. I'm not going. And I'm going to let you know. I wasn't always like that. I just hold it in and be feeling some kind of way. Now I'm acting funny. You don't know exactly why I'm acting funny. Exactly why. I ain't got no problem falling back off nobody. Because honestly, if I set a boundary for you, maybe you didn't know what it was at first, right? It's like the time thing. Maybe you know that I only accept phone calls after 7 o'clock. But then I didn't answer your phone call. So then you call me back the next day before 7, like, hey, I called you. It's like, yeah, I don't take phone calls after 7. And then the person says, okay. But then they keep calling me after 7 o'clock every day. And it's like, what is wrong with this person? I told them that I don't accept phone calls after 7. They are not respecting me, and they're not respecting my boundaries. I can't talk to this person anymore. They have no respect for me as a person. They are trying to push me past my limit. They are trying me right now. They playing with me. Now this person can't be a part of my life. They can't be on my board. They're in opposition at this point. Now my pieces got to take their piece out. And I got to block their number, block them off my social media. You is not a friend of mine. No, sir. You got to go. Because it's a very simple thing, and if you can't respect it, then I might have an issue with you in other areas as well. So we're going to keep it moving. And sometimes that's hard to do. Because maybe some people, they have something to offer you that you want. But if they can't respect something as simple, that's not calling you after 7 o'clock, and I'm using that as an example, right? Then you can't expect them to expect anything else. Because the moment you start taking them phone calls after 7 o'clock, it's like, aha. Got her. And also I want to say this. Not establishing boundaries and allowing people to surpass your boundaries is settling. You're settling and you're uncomfortable with it. Anytime you settle for something you don't want, you're not happy with it. I have yet to meet a person who settled for something that they were happy about settling for. You know, if you go to the Cheesecake Factory and you want a classic cheesecake with no sauce, no syrup, not just basic New York cheesecake, and they bring you an Oreo cheesecake with pecans and caramel syrup on it, that's not what you want. But you don't say nothing, you eat it anyway, you're disappointed. You settled for that, and you got to pay for it. Who does that? Who does that? If you know that if you're getting into the dating game and you know what type of person you want in your life, don't settle for somebody that's not the kind of person you want in your life. You're settling and you're going to pay for that dearly. If you want your mama to start respecting you, set those boundaries respectfully. You can do anything respectfully. She ain't going to like it at first, but she want her daughter, her son in her life fully. She going to have to respect those boundaries that you're setting or fall back. And that go for everybody. Your boss, your co-workers, your kids, everybody. So let's 2022, because we still in January. This is the first month. How y'all first month been going? Any revelations, any changes? Is y'all still working on y'all list? How y'all New Year's resolutions been? Right? How's it going? How's it going? It's 2022. We all have been through so much with this pandemic. All this stuff. It's just so much. And if the pandemic hasn't taught us anything, it has definitely taught us that tomorrow is not promised for anybody. Just like that, somebody can breathe on you and you can get sick and then you won't be here no more. Or somebody you know, very close and dear to you. It's just that quick. Especially if you got an underlying issue, right? So why take the chance on living today disrespected? By living today feeling violated? By living today settling for something that you don't even want? Why settle for today when you don't even know if you have tomorrow? And I don't mean to be cryptic, but I mean, this is where we at right now. I'm blessed every day to have today, to have tomorrow. Every morning that I wake up, I'm blessed to be here. And I refuse to live the rest of my days out allowing somebody to overstep my boundaries, make me feel like I don't deserve respect, and as if I am not at the level that I'm at. Either you gonna come correct or don't come at all. Peace, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I want for everybody. I want everybody to have respect. I want everybody's boundaries to be respected. I don't want anybody walking around feeling like, why? I don't want anybody feeling like the way it feels when somebody just disregards you. That's a bad feeling. We got to do better for ourselves. Let's take 2022 by the reins and say no more. If I say no, the answer is no. Stop trying to convince me that it's yes. If I said it was no. If I don't want to do it, I'm not doing it. And if I change my mind, it's not because you convinced me, it's because I decided I want to do it now. Listen to yourself. Listen to your body when it tells you if something is for you or not. All right, y'all. That is the end of today's episode. I got deep real quick. I didn't do too bad not to have no notes or nothing like that, huh? Straight out the dome. And like I said, so we didn't record no video today because honestly, this is like an impromptu type of thing. I just needed to get it off my chest. I didn't want to take the time to set up everything so I could set and do this video. And it be taking like a lot of time. Sometimes that's why it be taking so long to get these videos out, because it just don't be wanting to upload correctly. So today, this week's episode is audio only. We are streaming on your favorite listening platform. All the links are in the Anchor profile at Social Therapy Podcast /Anchor or anchor.com/Social Therapy Podcast. Either way, the link is in the bio. The link is in the description. The link is down there. And make sure you check out Motivated Coffee. The link is below as well. And this episode is still streaming on YouTube, audio only. Okay, and make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you got something that you want to say, you want to comment, you want to make on this video, let's start the discussion. Jump into the Facebook group or jump into the comments on the Anchor app, and let's talk about it. And if you want to be a guest speaker, let's do it. We got the green room on Spotify. I can't wait to use it. I can't wait to see you there. So let's make it happen. And until next week, I will talk to you then. Stay blessed. Peace.